Good evening, everyone. Tonight, I'll be looking at the internal and external assessment for Group 2 Language Acquisition English B. As some of you might be unfamiliar with the English B course, I'll first provide an overview of the course, followed by the assessments. English B is for students who have at least 2 years' experience with the language. It aims to enable students to communicate successfully in the environment where English is spoken by developing students' skills through the study of language, themes, and text. The process of learning another language involves recognizing and understanding of another culture. Personal reflection and subsequent understanding of the similarities and differences of one's own culture and how this is not shared by the rest of the world develops intercultural awareness and international mindedness, as well as the desired communicative skills. The core skills for Communication English B are receptive skills, productive skills, and interactive skills, and are developed via the use of 5 themes. These 5 themes are identities, experiences, human ingenuity, social organization, and sharing the planet. The IBO states that these themes provide opportunities to communicate on matters of personal, local, national, and global interest. It is through these themes that students are encouraged to use their background knowledge to compare their understanding of new information to the target language. These themes additionally focus on developing students' intercultural understanding by going beyond the classroom, expanding the students' awareness of the target language community and its place in the world, which in turn helps to develop the students' respect for cultural diversity and enhanced international mindedness. The topics in each of these themes are to be chosen by the teachers as they are not prescribed. As the language acquisition courses are not specified for one language and are created to suit a vast array of languages and contexts. This approach also helps develop the course to suit the students' interests in the target language and school's culture. Most importantly, it assists in making connections to other disciplines in the MYP acquisition program. It is from this that students are able to build on their previous knowledge, enhancing their understandings and depth of knowledge. Students are required to develop their language skills through a range of text types and their associated concepts. Text types can be blogs, emails, formal letters, films, podcasts, webcasts, and so on. Students need to learn which form of language is appropriate to the context, what are the differences between the text types, and come to understand how different situations, messages, and purposes affect the text type. There are a few key methods and pedagogies involved in English B. Social constructivism holds an important foothold in language acquisition as it helps fulfill the development of receptive, productive, and interactive skills. Students engage with others, engaging in various range of topics, which are continuously compared to their current understanding and knowledge. While the information in some topics might be familiar to students in their mother tongue, the introduction of information in another language and others' knowledge brings about different and new perspectives and encourages reflection upon previous knowledge. This sees students drawing conclusions and building language skills and cultural understanding. The language learning classroom suits the constructive approach as it promotes communication and social skills, encourages collaboration, and the sharing of ideas. Another aspect that falls under constructivism is problem-based learning. This approach to teaching uses real-world problems of which there is an abundance in the themes and topics. This places students at the center of learning with teachers as a guide rather than instructors. An example of this would be related to the theme of sharing the planet. Students would be provided with new opportunities to engage in information from different perspectives through conversation with peers and research. Trying to discover the answers engages students' interest, nurtures their natural curiosity, and helps language skills and abilities. Connected to this is that teaching is based on inquiry. In language acquisition classes, the development of student inquiry helps bring about autonomous lifelong learning. Through different themes and topics, teachers can foster students' interests and engage in the classroom environment. The use of different various sources, cultural artifacts, visitors, and out-of-classroom learning opportunities foster students' interest and engagement. This encourages students to question, explore, share, and go into more depth in the target language. The use of formative assessment is another important aspect. Formative assessment should be done throughout each theme, as teachers need to have a firm understanding of where students are in both their understanding of the theme content and language skills. Formative assessment can additionally be used to help provide information for differentiation, learning, and grouping. Ultimately, this helps the teacher and students to understand areas of improvement, strengths, and provide valuable feedback. The last aspect is activating prior understanding and building background knowledge. It cannot be assumed in a second language acquisition classroom, and it must be taken into consideration when planning. No two students are the same with regards to their previous learning, background, knowledge, and understandings. The IBO states that teachers should explicitly activate students' prior understanding, use their knowledge of students' prior understanding in all languages to differentiate tasks and activities, record information to support planning of future differentiation, and consider the time and strategies necessary for activating and building up background knowledge. Both the internal assessment and external assessment aim to assess different aspects of the student's skills. The IBO states that aims as students can communicate clearly and effectively in a range of contexts for a variety of purposes, understand and use language appropriately to a range of interpersonal or intercultural contexts and audiences, understand and use language to express and respond to a range of ideas with fluency and accuracy, identify, organize, and present ideas on a range of topics, and understand, analyze, and reflect upon a range of written, audio, visual, and audiovisual texts. Coursework and formative assessment need to provide appropriate amounts of experience with the skills in the target language. Careful planning needs to be taken into consideration to teach and address the development of these skills, and it's possible for tasks to cover multiple aspects in the assessments. An example of this is students who are practicing a writing task, which covers an external assessment section. This could also involve group discussion in English, developing speaking and listening skills for the internal assessment. As the assessment focuses on the student's skills to communicate, each task they cover in the course need to establish and build these skills to some degree, so teachers need to make sure students engage with different concepts, texts, and broaden the students' communicative skills, intercultural understanding, and international mindedness. Now let's turn our attention to the internal assessment. This is an individual oral assessment based on the 5 course themes and required for both higher level and standard level students. Students are required to demonstrate their abilities to understand and produce communication in the target language to use it for successful interaction. The internal assessment consists of 4 parts. At the standard level, students are given 15 minutes supervised preparation time to choose 2 visual stimuli based on the theme in which relates, and write brief notes to help them focus on the structure of the presentation. The presentation lasts between 3 or 4 minutes and requires students to describe the chosen stimuli and recall information related to the theme and target culture. The presentation is designed to determine the students' extent to which they verbally interact using the language, structures, and registers as accurately as possible. The follow-up discussion lasts between 4 or 5 minutes, requiring students to answer questions and expand their demonstrated knowledge. The last part is a general discussion where the teachers and students have a discussion on one of the other themes of the course. At the higher level, each of these stages are about 1 minute longer, but the main change is instead of visual stimuli, the students at the higher level need to present on a literary extract of 300 words in length based on literature covered during the course. Students need to explain the events, ideas, messages of the extract. Over the English B course, students need to be exposed to and have experience with not only accurately describing images or analyzing an extract, but be able to use language adequately and effectively in the context while providing additional information on the theme. Engaging in varied speaking tasks such as discussions, interviews, defending position in a debate, giving instructions, role play, and class presentations provide practice of planned speaking, spontaneous speaking, and connecting knowledge and information to achieve quality communication. An example is a small group presentation requiring students to speak on a subject of which they are familiar, and other students to ask questions to follow up and get more information. This would address both parts of the assessment, while additionally focusing students' critical listening skills and provide feedback to assist in improving their communication. Approaching this using backwards design directly acknowledges what students should be able to do and understand after instruction. By the way of example, consider the theme experiences and the topic rite of passage. As a result of instruction, the students will be able to accurately describe a rite of passage and how it fits into the overall theme. They would also be required to answer any additional questions to expand their evidence of knowledge. The evidence of their understanding would be that students be able to present on a topic for 2 minutes and answer questions. The task could begin with the teacher structuring the learning by sharing an example of a rite of passage of which the class would be familiar, such as marriage. This could lead to group discussion of the similarities and differences between cultures and the importance it holds. In this way, backwards design focuses students on achieving the desired results. Another way to approach the internal assessment would be providing students with formative assessment tasks, similar requirements to the internal assessment at the end of each topic. This would provide students with important practice to learn the internal assessment requirements, but also provide teachers with data to use for differentiation. Alternate versions of this task could see students put in pairs or small groups, providing them with different stimuli to discuss and present. This would allow for differentiation of the task while also providing multiple different perspectives and communicative skills to be practiced as a collaborative task building joint understanding. Other students could listen to the presentations and formulate questions to ask, needing students to critically engage with the content. Ideally, the use of student-centered tasks would aim at students acquiring the knowledge and understanding to produce effective and accurate communicative skills and demonstrate knowledge of the theme. Apart from the communicative skills, students need to be able to present and discuss the themes in different situations. Looking at the high-level requirement of using literary aspects in stimuli, it requires a unique set of skills to accurately be able to explain the extract. Over the course, providing tasks where students are able to acquire to read to understanding of the author's message, events, and ideas. Approaching this task, teachers need to be aware of the student's zone of proximal development and how to scaffold activities to maximize student learning. In terms of preparing students, shorter text provided to pairs or small groups needs to be analyzed to provide them with the comprehension questions to establish key information. As students become more familiar, removing the scaffolding will have students formulate their own questions and providing longer texts. Now let's move on to the external assessment. The external assessment consists of 2 papers. The first focuses on students' productive skills, while the second focuses on students' receptive skills for listening and reading. Both papers are externally set and externally assessed. Paper 1 requires students to choose from 3 writing tasks based on a different theme. At the standard level, students need to write between 250 and 400 words, while at the higher level, students need to write 450 to 600 words. The higher word count is for the higher level students to expand and display higher order thinking skills of analyzing, evaluating, synthesizing, and interpreting. Each of these writing tasks have a set audience, context, and purpose, aiming to assess the students in their ability for writing for the different purposes. It also requires demonstrating their understanding of text type, register and style for the audience, the context, and the purpose of the written text. For paper 2, it's divided into two sections of listening and comprehension and reading comprehension. The listening comprehension has 3 audio passages and the reading has 3 audio written texts for a total of 6 passages. Importantly for the external assessment, the IBO states students' factual knowledge of the topics within the themes will not be tested. However, it can be used to support any ideas that the students wish to communicate. For students to be successful for the external assessment, it requires being able to know and produce different text types while recognizing the audience, context, and purpose to adequately and accurately know what to say or write when communicating. The use of different text types throughout the course provide not only an understanding of language, but develops their receptive, productive, and interactive skills. Other aspects that are developed are in the way of which reality is mediated, constructed, and represented by language. The development of literacy analysis helps to develop intercultural awareness and international mindedness. So to be effective for paper 1, students need to be able to interpret, engage in multiple readings, and have a consideration of the cultural context required of a study of the word choice, symbolism, metaphor, and imagery in the associated values. Approaching the external assessment requires students to engage and understand a range of different text types and knowledge of the themes. Drawing on an example of the themes of experiences, a possible task would be to write a letter. For this, students would need to know the conventions of letter writing for the different audiences. If the purpose of the students' writing of the letter was to reply to an opinion piece in a newspaper of which they need to agree or disagree, they would also have to know how to be persuasive and express their personal opinion. It also requires students to engage in the text type of a newspaper article and understand that it has its own conventions. The experience with the different text types brings students to know what is appropriate in different situations and how to communicate successfully. It is necessary for students to engage with real text types. For this, teachers need to have a clear idea of where students are skill-wise to correctly engage their zone of proximal development. Students that are given texts that are too hard would easily become demotivated or spend too much time decoding text meaning. On the other hand, students who have texts that are too easy would not find them stimulating enough or provide enough depth. Learning about the use of language and how linguistic genres work as frameworks in constructing meaning in particular contexts provides valuable scaffolding that gives learners access to rich diversity of sophisticated texts. Some scaffolding strategies may provide more understanding are visual and practical aids, graphic organizers, demonstrations, collaborative groups, and writing frames. The use of project-based learning helps the development of students' understanding of different text types and improves their reading and writing abilities. Working on different questions individually or in groups, students can work on different questions to engage in research in English. Online research expands students to a global level, engaging with different text types from communities that use English. Ultimately, this approach would activate students' own learning, develop a deeper understanding of the topic, and allow them to present their findings in a presentation, video, or written text to the rest of the class. Through each of these themes, it requires the teacher to provide students with a vast array of text types for students to engage with. It needs to engage students at both the local and global contexts. Texts need to be chosen to suit students in both skill and interests. The text should use inquiry-based learning to allow for students to uncover the meaning while developing their skills, establishing teamwork, and growing in the global mindset. Lastly, students not only need to engage with written text types but also spoken. At the end of the course, they will need to be able to understand extended speech, media, and lectures while also being able to comprehend complex arguments. Tasks that check comprehension are matching, multiple choice, gap fill, short answers, and note-taking. These tasks should be carried out regularly and involve a wide range of world Englishes. Similar to other texts, students need a high variety and a high quantity of listening tasks and to practice their skills. Both the internal assessment and external assessment do not stand alone in regard to their aim. The skills of both assessments should be developed together through different tasks over the course. The focus of the task could be speaking, but it could additionally include students engaging in writing and listening. The same goes for topics, with topics that provide overlapping and connect to other themes produce a stronger understanding. Language acquisition moves beyond the English B course, intertwines and it strengthens and is strengthened by other disciplines and the IB core. The IB Standard Practice Paper states, collaborative planning and reflection recognize that all teachers are responsible for language development, seeing that all teachers are language teachers. From this, I encourage you all to help students with their language communicative abilities within your subjects. Thank you for listening.